Hey, good afternoon, folks. It is Monday. It's the second Monday in December. It is the start of the second week of December. Holy cow, it's like December. When did that happen? Oh, yeah, last week. So, have you all recovered from NaNoWriMo 2020? I think I have come out the other side at this point. It was a little hairy there. This was an odd one for me. Last year I did the cookbook, and that was different in its own way. It was much more pre-planned because you have to plan a cookbook in ways that you don't plan a fictional book. So there was a lot more prep and research and stuff involved in that before I actually did the writing. And it was good that I got to the 50,000 words last year, but it wasn't like a big deal because I knew I was going to make that because I had all the recipes planned out. But this year, I got behind enough in my writing a couple of times, and things were just a little extra stressful because my grandson is here and all the things that were going on and COVID and, the 99 different things that are going on in the universe. And so I really wasn't actually sure if I was going to win this year. I wanted to. I was moving towards my goal, but I wasn't sure of it like I have been in previous years. And now that I've won, I had to put it away. I have not opened the document since last Monday. I can't face it right now. I know it's crap. Oh, so much crap. Um, and so I'm just not willing to look at it yet. December is my making time. Of things with my hands as opposed to my brain. And so I'm doing a lot of sewing. I'm making some crafts. I'm getting out my crochet again and doing all of the things that I like to do at this time of year. And I'm taking a break from writing. I'm not taking a break from marketing my cookbook because that's going very well. And I don't want to lose that momentum. However, I'm not writing new stuff for the most part. And I feel really good about that. But come January, or maybe even before that, because I know myself, I'm going to get a couple of weeks into this and then it's going to be like all the Christmas presents are going to be made and I'm going to need to pick up the writing again. But until then, and maybe my grandson is moving away, so I want to spend as much time with him as I can between now and Christmas because then they're moving to Arkansas. So it'll be months and possibly years before I see him in the flesh again. So I kind of enjoy what I have now. But at the end of that, around Christmas, I'm probably going to want to start writing again. I have to finish the book first. It was very close to being done, but I hadn't finished the final. I think I have like 3 chapters left to write in it. And just so you know, this is the first time that I've written a book where there weren't clear, concise chapter beginnings and endings. So that's actually something that this year I will have to do for the first time is go through and decide where all the chapters are because it didn't come through in the story itself. So I'm going to have to build that in. And that'll be part of the editing. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Editing! Your favorite subject. So I harp on about this a lot, that I've had an awful lot of people come to me and say they absolutely despise NaNoWriMo because it makes people think that they can sit down and vomit 50,000 words onto a page and suddenly they're an accomplished author. And having witnessed this myself, yes, there are people out there who do that. A disturbingly large number of people who do that. If you follow me, don't be like them. Because that's not right. Okay. The first thing you need to do is you need to take a break and then go back and you need to reread your entire novel. If you can, read it out loud. Read it to a mirror, read it into a recording program, read it to yourself, but out loud. Speak the words. You will be amazed at the number of errors you find when you have to put vocal inflection into what you're writing. You'll also tend to catch the Dan said, she said, he said, they said, so and so said, and you can work your way through that. Then you need to go back and fix the problem areas once you've read through it. And once you've done that, you need to go back and reread the whole thing again. This time you don't have to read it out loud, but you need to fix all the grammar and spelling errors because even the best of us make a few. You need to work on cleaning up the script. You need to make it look and flow the way you want it to. And you have to start thinking about what your back cover blurb is going to look like because that matters. And I find that working on it during the editing and rewriting phase is actually quite helpful. Then you need to go and rewrite it yet again or edit it again. Editing and rewriting need to happen a minimum, in my opinion, of 4 times before you even consider handing that project to an actual editor. Not even a publisher. I'm talking handing it to a professional editor. I don't have the money to spend on a professional editor, and I know a lot of you don't. I have a couple of things that I do. One is I have a couple of friends who have impeccable grammar and spelling skills, and I will let them go over and red pen anything in my book that they feel needs work. That's helpful. If you don't have friends who can do that, you can also do the other thing I do, which is to pull up something called the Hemingway editor, and it helps you identify excuse me, some of the problem areas: using too many adjectives, run-on sentences, sentences that are too long or too complex, that kind of thing. It doesn't fix them for you, but what it does is it highlights them so that you can look at it. And in some cases, like I have in my current fantasy novel, one of the characters speaks in dialect, and so they use incorrect language, gonna, and I don't, D-O-N, wanna. And that's how it's written. And those are always going to come up in an editing program, and they're going to say, that's wrong. But because it's in quotes and it represents the vocalities of a person, it becomes part of the book, and that's acceptable. But I don't want to catch that in a description, for instance, where it's not coming from the voice of one of my characters, because that would be incorrect. As the narrator, if you will, of the story, the narrator should be speaking in perfect English, or whatever language you happen to be writing in, so that the reader can catch on that that's a dialect and that's an accent, and this is reality. It's important, it's so important to go through and find all of the errors and to clean it up. And when you hand that off to an editor or a publisher, that it be the best writing that you can manage. That should represent hundreds of hours of work, not just the verbal vomit of NaNoWriMo, but the hours of editing and re-editing and rewriting and editing again after NaNoWriMo. If you are handing off a script to someone, a manuscript to someone, before you have done at least 2 to 3 edits, I can't call you an author. I really can't. And I know that sounds very entitled and snooty, but that editing process is that important. Okay? I need to stress that repeatedly until you're all bored of hearing it. It should be second nature to you that level of editing has to be built into the projects that you're doing. And if you are lucky enough to be able to afford to pay somebody to edit your work, you need to then take that edited work and look at where you made errors. And it might be that you have to go back and actually fix numerous things And so you have to be prepared for that as well, because a professional editor may catch things that you never thought of. They may look at something and say, this turn of phrase sounds really weird. I don't get it, and give you feedback like that. And you need to be willing to listen. Yes, the answer is yours in the end. And so sometimes the answer is, well, my characters just speak that way, so the reader has to deal with it. But if you get an editor or a test reader who tells you they're having a difficult time understanding a character, you need to give that serious thought. Recently, on one of the author pages that I follow on Facebook, a person asked if the bunch of us, if we could explain why their book was not selling. Okay. A lot of times, I will admit, again, kind of snooty on my part, but I don't bother looking because most of the time the answer is so obvious that it's painful. But it was the first day after NaNoWriMo, and I needed a break from my own shit. So I went and I looked. And yes, it was very obvious why this person's book was not selling, at least to me. Okay. There were massive grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors in the blurb. I didn't even get to looking inside the book. So I explained to them that when you're writing that back blurb, you are selling the book and you're selling yourself as an author. And if that blurb is full of errors, then there's a problem because you're not putting your best foot forward as the thing that you're selling. Okay, that would be like a plumber taking you to a leaking house and saying, well, this is my work. I know it's shit, but nobody's going to want to hire you. Okay, a dentist who has a habit of getting sued every week, you don't want to go and have somebody like that drilling at your teeth. So you have to think about the product that you're giving to somebody is words, and those words, as it is possible to do. If you put out work that is misspelled or has glaring grammar errors or more than, especially when a reader finds it, and I do try to sneak in and fix it so that future copies don't have that error. But I hate it when I find a mistake in a printed book. It drives me nuts. If it's fiction, it jolts me out of the story that I'm reading. And if it's nonfiction, I will be quite honest, it makes me wonder whether the person whether they deserve to have written what they wrote and whether what they write has any literary reason for existing. And that may or may not be fair, okay? There are reasons that we have ghostwriters. For instance, if you have a story to tell and you just don't have the ability to write, that's what you get a ghostwriter for. And then it's their job to do all the stuff that I'm talking about. And it's your job to make sure that the content is right. But if you're the one doing the writing, it is your job. Literally, that is your job. That is the whole point of being a writer. So I know I'm harping on, but I cannot stress the importance. It is just so important and so necessary. I see a lot of people, younger people right now, who are of the opinion that language doesn't matter. And I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but on the other hand, I also refuse to back down on this. English is important. There's a reason why we went from Shakespearean English, from Middle English, which had very random spelling and no grammar to speak of, to what we have today. Okay. Is it perfect? No. We all know that English mugs other languages in back alleys for spare verbs. Okay. We all know this. It is known. But it's better than it was. And it needs to continue to get better, not worse. Going back to what we have already decided was not functional That doesn't fix anything, okay? If writing is your joy, if writing is your craft, if getting your story out is that important, then it needs to be important enough that you do it correctly. And if you're not going to do it correctly, don't do it at all. I'm really serious on this, okay? I love you guys. Go forth and edit. And if you need help, reach out, okay? Come talk to me. I know a bunch of editors. I know people who have different price ranges. They go from really cheap to really expensive. If you need the help, ask for it. There is no shame in that at all. If you want help getting your book to the polished place it needs to be in order to be published, then you should get that help. Absolutely. And I support that 100%. That said, I have to go because I have other writing to do today. Yay! I'm writing weddings today. I will catch you guys later, and I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the snow, and I will see you in a while. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe, okay? I think it's down here.